Good morning and welcome to another edition of Judging by the Cover, where this time we are looking at The Wandering Village. Now, we are going to be looking at the Nintendo Switch store page for this one, but I would also like to note that this game is also on an introductory sale on Steam for just under $20 at the time of this recording, at the time of this episode, for at least this month that, we're releasing this episode in. So, what we have here is what looks like a city builder simulator, God Sim kind of thing, along the veins of Civilization, Sim City, Age of Empires, but with the caveat of existing on the back of this large dragon like creature that is wandering the world. And basically, you and your village and the creature are all trying to work together for the survival of your clan. In a world where mysterious plants are spreading all over the earth, emitting toxic spores as they grow, a small group of survivors seeks shelter on the back of a giant, wandering creature they call Onbu. You become their leader, build their settlement, and form a symbiotic relationship with Onbu to survive together in this hostile yet beautiful post apocalyptic world. So the main idea here, you're building your village. The functioning village is the basis of your survival. You build your settlement and expand it over Onbu's back. Plan production chains and optimize them to utilize the limited space as efficiently as possible. So you have like it says, limited space to work with here where you're trying to set up your structures. It seems that you get a much less sprawling space than you might in other city building games that we may have seen in the past. Living on the back of another organism comes with its own set of challenges. Will you live in symbiosis, bond with Ombu, and survive on mutual trust? Or will you become a parasite only aiming to ensure a better life for your villagers? So you actually get to make the choice of whether you're going to be more cooperative with the creature or whether you're going to be more manipulative and abusive towards it. So it's an interesting dynamic there. It'd be cool to see like what kind of differences in gameplay those choices might offer. Discover different biomes. You continuously adapt your village as you travel through a multitude of different biomes, each with unique climate zones, opportunities, and threats. Scout your environments and send out foraging missions to gather rare resources and ancient artifacts. Now, that could be interesting to see what kind of artifacts they have. Since this is a post-apocalyptic world, I would be very interested to see what kinds of lost technologies get incorporated into the gameplay. Remnants of the old world. Oh, of course, lost technologies. Has knowledge long been forgotten, but can be unearthed by your villagers. Find and research these technologies, but use them wisely, as progress can be a double edged sword. Finally, survive the wastelands. You ensure the survival of both your villagers and your Onbu, even though poisonous spores, merciless weather, and blood sucking parasites and more challenges mean that the odds are often stacked against you. So, while it initially on the surface, it looks like it could be a very cozy city builder where you just kind of lay back and chill. It does seem to put some pressure on your community, your city, and making choices as far as your travels. Now, there are two trailers on the Nintendo Switch shop. While this game is new, just released this past week, but the trailers do show a little bit of the gameplay and little snippets of cinematic visuals that, quite frankly, could have been a cool, I don't know, animated series in its own right. We do have screenshots showing us just a beautiful rendition of the city, the landscape. We see one here that has some sprawling farm space. We see some cranes sticking out of them. Very that the buildings seem to range from very primitive structures to more specialized community houses, and windmills, pottery uh, kilns, and everything. So a lot of cool things. That one looks like it might be a kind of rain catcher in this screenshot here. Makes raw food such as berry. Okay, there's one of the buildings that's highlighted. Makes raw food like berries and beets into simple meals with increased quality. Good for, village survival. And this is with laying out your village where maybe it's restricting your farmland a little bit. This city might rely more on foraging the wasteland than it does on straight up farming, but it still has a lot of what looks like buildings that could make the kinds of artisan goods that you would see in other kinds of cozy games. And we do also see across the top of the bar here A lot of resource information. We see what I'm just on context alone looks like a food resource, uh, city population, something about a number, the number one there next to something that might be like some kind of other health rating. Hard to tell from here. I'm sure the game explains it, but at least the population and the food number are pretty self-explanatory. And there seems to be a mood and affection meter shown with a smiley face and the heart in there, along with temperature, uh, I'm guessing the bubbles is your exposure to poison spores. So a whole lot of information shown right up on that top bar that I'm sure once you get into the game and through the tutorials, all of that will become more clear. And we even see some speed controls, pause, play, and fast forward. So you can speed up the time if you want to go ahead and blitz through some stuff and you don't want to have to go through things too slowly. Perfect kind of settings for these sorts of city simulator games where when you're micromanaging, you want things running at a slow pace, but then when you're waiting for the next event or you need to go ahead and let some time pass, being able to fast forward is pretty much necessary for these. We have a screenshot showing a map of the surrounding area. We can see road, desert, wasteland. The road branches off into two directions here from the direction that Ombu is coming from. One towards the water, and we do see in the trailer that Ombu also swims, so it's not like you're completely landlocked. And there looks like the map does have other key localities, maybe even settlements, if there are little outcroppings of human society that could be friendly trade partners or could be hostile warmongers, depending on their temperament. We even see a little heads up display in the bottom left corner. It tells us how many days there are. The place may contain food, so it gives us little snippets of notes, like useful information for your decision making. So you see that one area contains food, another area, Ombu seems unsure about which path to take at the upcoming crossroads. So that's where you, the player, are guiding the dragon into whichever directions you would want. It even tells you here, Ombu chooses the path. You're either going northeast or southeast. You get all of these options here to decide how you want to progress in the game. In another screenshot, we do see more cranes building probably larger structures in the building. Now, this one looks like it might be more of a drawn, like a cinematic drawn thing than some of the other like town layouts where things are more highlighted. But it's a little hard to determine if this is actually just kind of like concept art or if this is actually part of the game. Maybe there are scenes where it shifts the art a little bit or renders it slightly differently. We even have a zoomed out feature here. Commands Ombu to sleep. Ombu sleeps better in designated sleeping areas, and it even tells us on the bottom places unaffected by poison and looks comfortable to sleep in, along with three notes that Ombu accepts your command. So it does seem like even though you are guiding the dragon that you're living on, it does appear from this screenshot at least that Ombu might not always obey you, depending on its temperament and your relationship with it. That would be kind of interesting to see if the dragon just decides, you know what, no, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to do things my own way. Good luck, everybody else that's living on my back. It's a lot of interesting little snippets here. Now, for this kind of a game, I don't know for certain that, the 10% off, the $30 price tag base or 10% off is something that I personally would pay for this, more so because of how much time and attention I would think I'd be able to devote to this, considering I do constantly have other projects that I'm working on. I don't know that I would have necessarily the time to put into it to justify spending that. But like I said, the Steam sale also has this for about $20. If I were to pick this up, that's probably closer to the price range I'd be looking for, unless it goes on to some other sale in the future when I'm keeping my eyes on it. But it does look like an incredible game that I think would be worth the $30 price tag based on the trailer, based on the store page, and based on the information that it provides. It does have quite a bit of the city builder factor to it with a little bit of a promise of deeper mechanics coming from ancient lost technologies, world exploration, possibly playing at different gameplay styles that you can experiment with, where you either treat Ombu as a friend or as an animal meant to be quelled, controlled, and broken in, like how people would generally have their horses in these kinds of environments and settings. So determining how you go about the game does seem to offer at least branching pathways, different worlds. It would be even more interesting if the world is maybe a little procedurally generated, but the advertising does not seem to specify whether that is the case. The world may very well be a static world that is pre-designed as you choose your routes to go along and choose how you manage your village. But yeah, I do think $30 is a fair price. It's just that me personally, I don't know that I could spend that much on it. I would probably wait for it to go on sale. But overall, based on just the Nintendo Switch store page, I would say an easy 8 out of 10 game. The art is fairly simple, as we see from the screenshots, but it is clear and concise in how the art direction communicates its setting and what you can do as a player, at least from the store page. How well it actually controls would remain to be seen from actually playing the game, but it at least looks like it does display its information in very clear terms. So as long as you're reading, you're paying attention to your grids, your layouts, the text on screen, if you're paying attention to those things and learning as you go and as you explore, it could be a very interesting time, and I could easily see getting very invested in this. To the same degree that people get invested in Minecraft or Stardew Valley or Fae Farm or other kinds of those kinds of cozy games, even if the game does maybe have a little bit less of a cozy lean, depending on how intense some of the things get. So with that, like I said, I am rating the Switch eShop here at an 8 out of 10, but the game, like I said, is also available on Steam. It has just released, and both platforms have it on sale right now. So if this is something that you're looking forward to or you've been on the fence about, give it a look on those platforms or any other consoles or platforms that you prefer. And, give it a look. It does look like it'd be worth a try.